Hi there, my name is Ron Rogers, and this presentation is called Flying My Turbo 310R Back Home on a Windy Night. Now, I took my daughter to visit her cousin in Iowa City, that's my hometown, and to visit her grandniece. So that was kind of fun, and we had a nice time there, nice dinner, and now it's time to come back. I didn't really want to fly this day, but it was a lot quicker than driving 2.5 hours, just a slightly less than an hour flight. And so we decided to fly, but it was a very, very windy day. And I usually don't like flying on those days because they're not comfortable. Turbulence, and we had a cloud cover, and they had moderate ice in the cloud cover, and my airplane has known icing, but any pilot, civilian pilot with half a brain knows you avoid, even though your airplane is quote unquote certified. And I was involved in some of that certification. Oh, that's clicking the autopilot off there, those three little beeps. I had it on coming back in, now I'm hand flying it. You see how much rougher it gets? Anyway, even though it's certified for flying in icing, that you try to avoid. It makes you legal, and it gives you the ability to get out of it, but that's about it. And the winds were 330 at a 20, gusting to a little bit over 30 knots. So it's a pretty good wind, and I'm coming in on runway. I'm heading east here into the Chicago area, but I'm going to land on runway 26. So I've got just a bit of a crosswind, and it's turbulent, and the turbulence had calmed down a bit, but it was still not a nice evening. The winds did not die down in the evening as they typically normally do, and in over 50 years of my wife flying with me, she has never gotten sick in the airplane, but she got sick this time going to Iowa City. And I will have a presentation on that because that is going to be a multimedia presentation. I've got pictures of the instrument panel and outside, and I'm going to synchronize those. It's by multimedia, I mean 2 cameras. Okay, I'm slowly getting fancy here. I finally got a sponsor, so I can get some funds coming in to afford this. Buying a few extra cameras and things like that, and expanding my channel even more, which should be fun. But anyway, I'm going to put that together, and that's daylight hours. But here I am coming back in the evening as such. Now, this is about half hour after sunset, so it's legal to log nighttime, but I can't log a night landing or takeoff because that has to be an hour after sunset. So I decided to come in here, and I'm just going to fly. That's my altitude alert. I've got it set for pattern altitude, so it tells me when I'm 300 feet coming into pattern altitude. And that other little horn there is the gear warning horn because I pulled the power back. I'm coming in here at 200 miles an hour or so, and that's a little fast for the pattern, so I need to slow down. Fortunately, with the weather conditions and that, I am the only one in the pattern and the only one I have heard on the radio. It's extremely quiet. Normally the Unicom frequencies, the common advisory frequencies, are very noisy. Well, if you fly in bad conditions, they get quiet. But anyway, I'm coming in here, and I'm gonna start the slow. There's the runway coming in on the left there. You can't see it too well, but it's off there to the left. And of course, you see the airspeed up there depicted, and the altitude is on the upper right. And I'm starting to slow down. This is ground speed, of course, in miles per hour. Obviously, it says miles per hour, but this is ground speed. And with the 30 knots or so of wind, I've got a pretty good ground speed here, and it'll change around when I come into final. Now, normally I fly final in this at 95 knots. And I have to keep that straight because this is in knots, and my old Great Lakes is in miles per hour. So this is knots. I fly normally at 95 knots, but because I have a strong wind and a fairly strong crosswind, I keep a good extra 10 to 15 knots because I know in that wind I can easily dissipate it. There I'm out of my altitude coming around for the turn to final here. And slowing down. Still got a good ground speed with the wind, but I know with that wind I'll have no trouble slowing down. Of course, I plan on using the whole length of the runway anyway, just because I can, and saves the brakes. So I'm coming here over the little reservoir off the end of the runway. That's water down there. And you can see in the darkness, that's why there's not a whole lot of lights down there. And there's the runway coming into view off the nose. And since it is officially not night yet, I left the lights off, doing just a practice lights out landing, which isn't hard because it is still fairly visible. But you notice I've got a fair amount of speed coming in. And then touchdown. There. Here you could probably hear the little squeak of the tires there. Yeah, fairly close to center line. I had, 300, 330 varying there up to 30 knots gusts. So it was, it wasn't too bad once I got down there. It didn't seem like I had that much of a crosswind component, but when you got extra airspeed, it makes it easier. And then just slowly slow down. And of course, these are turbocharged engines, so those little turbochargers get pretty warm. And you want to give them time to cool down, to avoid maintenance there, because the turbochargers are a maintenance headache enough. But I've been lucky with this airplane, and I'm pulling off the runway here. You can see the rotating beacon is giving me a little bit of illumination as I taxi. But I'm going to turn on my taxi light here in a moment once I get clear of the runway, and I'm also going to turn on my landing lights, and I'll show you what that actually looks like, how it illuminates the taxiway. There's the taxiway light, and of course this angle, you can see the taxi lights. You can see a little bit of illuminating out there, and then in a moment I'll turn on the landing lights just to show that. Of course, being on the ground, and they come out of the wingtips. There's on the wingtip tanks on the 310. There's a little motorized light that rotates up flush in flight. And then you just turn on the motor and they motor on down, and then once they get into the full extended position, the lights turn on. There they are. There's the landing lights. And of course, because I'm on the ground, they don't illuminate. See, they're off, back on. They don't illuminate very well because, I'm close to the ground. It'd be a lot better higher on up. So don't need those, so I shut those off. And just a nice taxi back in with my wife making some comments off there in the side. But I'm taxiing back to my hangar here. And the video ends here a little bit before I get to my hangar. My hangar's down there at the end. But I'm turning here at Lake in the Hills Airport, 3 Charlie Kilo. Going between these two big hangars up here and the row of smaller port-to-port hangars. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little bit of night flying, almost night landing in my airplane. Thanks for watching.